Hello and welcome to another edition of my Become Unstoppable series. And as usual, I have an amazing guest for you. Her name is Gemma George and I'll get her to introduce herself shortly. So I'm just going to bring her up. And for those who don't know me, I'm Julie from Milliside Therapy and Coaching. And I support individuals to basically unlock their true potential so that they can become unstoppable. So if you'd like to find out more about me, then obviously follow me on here and book a call and we'll have a chat. There she is. I was getting a bit worried there, I must admit. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you very much for rushing to get your poor little children to bed so that you can be here with me and our lovely guests that join us, of course. So before we start, my lovely, would you like to introduce yourself and just let everybody know what it is you do? Oh, she seems to have gone. Hotline callers, hotlines. Interesting. Never had that happen before.
Hello. Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
I said that's a new one on me. I've never had them just disappear. Was it something I said, Gemma? We haven't even started yet. Anyway,
Sorry,
what I was saying to you was, would you like to introduce yourself and let everybody know what it is that you do, my lovely?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Gemma. I'm the salon owner at GeGe Hair Beauty and I specialise in tape hair extensions and I also do bridal hair and makeup as well. So we offer all different treatments within our salon, hair, makeup, beauty, and I have a few members of staff that work for me as well. So yeah, we are location based, but we also come out to clients as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so we met each other again at our business training. And this is what I've been doing. It's been giving you all an opportunity to come on here and share your experiences. And as you know, this is very much around mental health and how we deal with stuff. But as I know from knowing you a little while, that you are very much into investing in yourself and your self-development, which is amazing. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But before we do that, as you know, I'm going to ask you that wonderful question, my lovely. What does being unstoppable mean to you?
I think being unstoppable for me is being able to give women power over how they feel within themselves. That for me is like really important. Like when people I mainly do women, and a lot of my clients, when they sit in my chair, they always say, oh, you know, it feels like such a warm environment here, and that for me is like everything.
Wow.
And you know, when they sit down and they go, oh, it's so nice to just have 5 minutes to myself, or just like, it's all about self-care. And for me, like that for me is being unstoppable, because giving someone else that feeling is everything. So yeah.
I love that. And yeah, and I hear you on that one, because we've both been given a gift. Our gifts are very different, but ultimately the results aren't that different, are they? In terms of working, I work with men and women, but obviously with women in particular, especially when they get to an old age like me, there's all sorts of lack of confidence, self-belief and things like that that comes into the fray that maybe they didn't even have back then, but they do now. And it is important to have that self-care, isn't it?
100%.
So what would you say would be your typical issues, if you like, that your clients tend to have in terms of not looking after themselves or what they're trying to achieve?
I think a lot of it is, if you're a new mum, for example, a lot of my clients are gammy mummies. And if you're a new mum, I think it's very easy, being a mummy myself, to be able to have your kids and get stuck in a rut and like just be mum and just be, yeah, I'm a mum. And that's so easy to say, isn't it? You know, like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a mum. Well, yeah, but you're also a person, not just a mum. So I feel like when some people sit in my chair and they say, you know, yeah, I'm a mum, I'm like, yeah, but what else? You know, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing with your life now? Or what do you want to be able to achieve now? And a lot of it is, I want to feel like me again, or I want to have a new me or an uplifted me. Or some people, you know, along with, you know, having children, for example, they normally go one way or the other, especially with hair, and you know, their hair can be a lot finer, and it can lose your confidence, you know. Your body's not the same, you don't feel the same. So I feel like with that category of mums, definitely you lose yourself a little bit.
Definitely.
And then I have a different category that are, you know, the older client, and I feel like the mature, well, I shouldn't say older, I should say more mature. But
In the prime of their lives, darling.
yeah,
Prime of their lives.
exactly. But I'll say with the mature client, I feel like it is a lot to do with confidence. A lot. I feel like if you lose your confidence as you're getting older, it can sometimes relate to your hair. And as you go through menopause, hair does become different. And after you come through that, it is a case of, what can you do now? And a lot of people go, I'm just going to cut my hair short, because that's really the only option, because the shorter I go, the thicker it feels. And actually, there are different things out there that can make it look and feel better and thicker without having to chop all your hair off.
Amazing.
And it's education. Knowledge is power at the end of the day, isn't it? So
it is, yeah. And I remember having many conversations with other guests on here as well, and looking after ourselves all the time, really, isn't it? Whether you're a mother, whether you're not, it's about whether you're a busy business owner, whether you're just really frantic at your work. It's really important that we take stock of where we are and just basically breathe.
yeah, 100%. And it's so easy to get lost in life, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
and it really, you know, it really is. I think as a business owner, and as every other hat that you wear, it's so easy to wear the several hats, isn't it? And then you lose yourself a little bit and go, oh, hang on a minute, you know, I need a little bit of time for me.
And a lot of my clients, and I know I felt this myself, it's that you use that word guilt a lot, don't we? About, well, if I did that, then I just feel guilty because I'm spending that money, or I should be spending time with my children, or, you know, or I haven't got time for that because they're putting everybody else before themselves. But, and I use this all the time, isn't it? The analogy with you know, on the aeroplane, when you put your mask on, you've got to put your mask on first.
Yeah.
And I think we see that in our business world as well, with the complete, you know, overwhelm and stress that people can constantly be in, because they are missing out that vital step, which is taking time out for you and breathing. And when I say breathing, I don't mean just breathing, like consciously breathing and relaxing and doing like maybe the 6-6 breathing, where you're in for 6, out for 6. Do that 2 or 3 times and you'll change your whole physiology of your body instantly, because you're calming yourself down.
Yeah, definitely.
And
it gives you time to think, doesn't it? Doing that, you know, you're with you actually sitting there going, breathe in for 6 and breathe out for 6. You have that time to just almost like zen and just don't think about anything else but you in that moment. That's really powerful, I think.
it is really powerful, because sometimes when you need to do that stopping and breathing, you could have looping thoughts going on in your mind, like saying, hurry up and do that, come on, where's that list, let's work through that list.
Yeah.
And you know, and then get ourselves stressed and overwhelmed. I mean, from my personal perspective, I am my worst enemy, and I put so many plates in the air spinning, rather than just, okay, let's just put 3 up there instead of 25. And then you know, but we do sometimes, and I do have to stop myself sometimes and go, hang on, Julie, take a step back, look at what you're doing, you know, listen to what you tell your clients, and maybe take some of that on board yourself. But we get caught up in it, and you do have to bring yourself back. And I love hairdressers, because you're almost, even like you are counsellors, always have been, haven't you? You know, that's where people spill their life out to you, isn't it? So you must get a lot of that.
I definitely feel like, you know, and that's why, you know, you wear so many hats, because like you say, you know, it doesn't matter who could be in your chair. It doesn't matter whether they're young, old, you know, little. Doesn't matter. Anybody, if the hairdresser is a safe place, and it really does. You know, we welcome everybody, and it is like that. Even with makeup, you know, you could have so many people in a room, but yet because you're one to one, you feel almost a little bit more confidence to be able to talk about what you're going through or what your day is like, or you know, or things that you wouldn't necessarily maybe talk to your family about or friends about, that you feel happy about to talk to me.
Even though you're probably shouting because you're trying to hear over the head.
Yeah.
When I was it's not always necessarily private, is it? But yeah, and that's it, they build a rapport up, don't they?
Yeah, it's the same.
Build up that rapport.
You know? And it's where someone feels calm and relaxed, and that's really the best thing about it. Really, it's a bit like your work though, isn't it? You know, it's an enclosed space. You feel like someone is really conscious and is there and wants to be there, and then, you know.
Exactly. I mean, when I get my clients working with me, quite often there's, you know, they've got multiple symptoms, but actually when we sit down and go through it in more detail, they're all very much connected, because when we go back to basics and I teach them the 6-6 breathing, that's the very first thing I do. I actually do an exercise with them where we do it for a minute to see how many peaks they've got, and most people have got so many, like, not, they're breathing way too fast. And once you understand that and you calm yourself down, that's really good. And I give them loads of tools and techniques as well. So for example, when you're hearing those voices in your head, you learn to acknowledge them and go and get rid of them, so they almost come in one ear and go out the other rather than absorbing them. But when I do my deep work with them though, that's when the magic really, really happens, because that's when we really regress them back to when, I don't know, if they say that they've got anxiety or something, the first time they had anxiety, and it will normally go back to their childhood, and then we identify those, but we take away the feelings and emotions, because your body just remembers it all. So sometimes, you know, like sometimes you're in a situation and you don't even know why you're having an anxiety attack, because nothing in particular is really going on, but that's because it's not really relevant. Your body's just reacting to something way back when you were young. It's really, really fascinating. And I've literally come off the phone to a client of mine. When we did the first intake session, we had probably about 20 issues. She's only worked with me once so far, and we've gone through them. She said, yeah, that's good now. Her main thing was around sleep. She wasn't sleeping because she was always stressed and overwhelmed. And by understanding the root cause of that, we've kind of ticked off most of the other ones as well.
Yeah.
So it's so powerful. But it always goes back to the self-care, and she's put in all new routines now. So she's doing regular exercise, she's looking after herself, and that's one of the reasons why she's feeling so good.
Yeah, taking time too.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. So your other line of business though, with your brides, that's a whole new ball game, right? Because
I love it.
So do you see similar fears and things in them when they're getting married though? Of maybe not thinking that they're good enough or looking good enough, or is it different to the hairdresser chair?
I think with the bride hair and makeup, I think it's a lot of, I've seen this and this on Instagram, or I've seen lots of different pictures, and a lot of them, they come with a lot of inspiration. So they come and they give me like a Pinterest collage board of what they created basically, and they say, oh, you know, this looks great and this looks great, this looks great. And actually, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the dress and you look at what they want and you look at their theme and all the rest of it, a lot of it is this really what you want, or is this something that you have seen that you may like, that you really want, or that you're not really sure that you want? And then 9 times out of 10 we do what they think they want, and they go, oh no, Gemma.
Oh bless.
And they go, oh no. And I say, well, this is what the trial's for, isn't it? You know, it's really important to have a trial. So we put on like a whole sprue for them, and it is amazing. But yeah, we offer to be able to come in with all of your loved ones, and we have like a massive room where we cater to have the bride, all of her brides, and mother of the bride, mother of the groom if they want. And we link with a local business who does all the food catering for us as well. So we have Prosecco and nibbles for them throughout the whole day. And it is a real special occasion, and it is a chance for women, as women, to be able to sit down and go, yeah, this is for me, specifically for me. And it's so nice because it's like some people, like some of them, like I did a bride a couple of weeks ago, and her bridesmaids travelled ages, like hours to come, but they've all made the effort months and months and months in advance to come and know that they're all going to be there for that friend.
So they're all focused then, aren't they?
And it is such a nice environment, and there's no real haste at all, because it's exciting, and it's like, yeah, you know, we're here and we're together, and how rare is this to happen? And that's the conversation normally, like, how rare is it that we all get to hang out together in one place in one time and do something lovely, or get our hair done together and get her makeup done? Like, how amazing is that?
That's brilliant. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that's a service that many other bridals provide, is it? Because that's high end love, isn't it? That's really high end. I love that. I love that. So is this the preparation one, or is this the actual day?
Preparation one where they come in and have their trial done, and we give them like the whole day, so there's no, like, you know, minimum maximum type of thing. And we really do, you know, give them the whole time. There's no nine times out of 10 you'll go to people and they go, oh yeah, come and have your hair and makeup done, and you have to have one type of, you know, hairstyle that you want in mind. They trial it, and you either like it or you don't. They can tweak it ever so slightly, but there's no time for you to turn around and go, actually, I really don't like it, do something else. Whereas with me, I have that time and I give them that time. The same with the bridesmaids. But in the grand scheme of things, it actually helps me on their wedding day, because I'm the one planning hour by hour, minute by minute, having what done, what time it needs to be done, and it all goes to a time schedule. So the trial, there's no worry about that on the actual day of the wedding, because I've already figured all of that out.
Yeah, you already know that they all really like it, and
we're going in. Most people, the bridesmaids, they don't have trials done, so they turn up at the wedding day and they go, oh yeah, I think I want this, and then you do it and they go, oh, can you just tweak this and that, but you haven't planned for that time. So it's
how do you, so I can imagine, like you were saying there about it's very time critical. So as a working mum, and you've got young children, right? How do you fit it all in? How do you juggle? How do you look after yourself? or I'm hoping you do.
That's a very good question. I have a very, very, very supportive husband, and I'm very lucky. And he does look after my children for me when or like on a Saturday, which are normally what brides are on a Saturday. And I have a very close family network that are very supportive as well. But to take time out for myself, I have learnt this year that is something that, yes, I need to do. So I do try my best to do, you know, as much as I can have my own me time. But it's a bookable thing, you know, whether or not it's going to have, you know, bookable time with my staff out to be able to have a facial done, for example, and just have a bit of time, or like, you know, put my kids in extra, you know, groups to be able for me to have an extra coaching session, for example. Or like I do, I'm very, I'm a planner and I'm very organised. My life is not, everything is to a plan. So I think that definitely helps me. I'm a very set regime.
That does help being organised, doesn't it? Because kids, well, everyone likes a routine, really, don't they? But it's about not being too rigid and being able to move it around.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like since I left my corporate job in December last year, it's a little bit easier insofar as I can manage my own diary now, and that's really nice. even when we talk about going to have a couple of days off, I just book it in my calendar, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't even have to ask anyone, do I? So it's about balancing that up. So I get up. My husband normally gets up about 6:15 most mornings, or earlier anyway. So I get up with him, and then I come downstairs and I do a form of exercise, and I do yoga, and then I do a bit of meditation, and I do that most days. And now on a Thursday I go to yoga in person, and that's really exciting. So don't get out much. Although I've been out today, so that's been nice. I've been to met a lovely lady who was on here earlier. In a networking environment, so that was really nice. But yeah, a lot of the time I'm here, and it can feel quite closed in. Although I'm speaking to people all the time, so I don't feel like I don't talk to anyone.
Yeah,
I've got clients either here or on Zoom, but I have found it easier to put that in place because I can.
yeah,
But it wasn't always as easy as that. And when you've got children, and then when you're juggling that, I mean, my children are grown up, so I don't have to worry about that. And it is harder, isn't it, especially when you've got young children. And most of the time, typically, mums are, well, I don't want to be sexist, but maybe dads too, but right. But general rule of thumb, right? A friend of mine actually, she was really happy that the schools had finished, because although she had her children at home with her, she was like, I'm just done with running around after the school, because it's like they've got to do this now, dress up as this, be here, She said, I just can't keep up with it. And that's really stressful, isn't it?
yeah. I think for me, like, my kids wake up extremely early, so like, my day starts at the crack of dawn, literally. Like, my kids wake up around 5:30 if I'm lucky. So yeah, it's a long day, but I don't really know Elaine. I don't know what Elaine feels like, because we don't really get that, but we do get our evening. So my kids are normally down by 6:20. So we have the whole evening, which is really, really nice. For me, it's lovely to then, if I want to catch up on a series, I can. If I want to do extra work, I can. But I think over time, like, I think so many days you then run out of energy, so you feel like you have to go to bed a bit earlier. But for me, that's like my zen time. So I'm like, I go to bed a bit earlier, have a good night's sleep. And that's another thing, like, sleep is really important, especially like to feel better. My feeling is, as long as you get 6 hours.
Yeah. And that's another good gem with the old menopause as well. So any menopausal ladies out there will probably know what I'm talking about. And that goes out the window. But I was very kindly given a sleep meditation hypnosis from one of my colleagues, and that's working very well now. So I actually do sleep with my clients as well, because sometimes it can be because of something. I had a client once actually who she just couldn't sleep. She used to nap. She used to just not sleep. But it turned out when we went back to the past, it was because as a child she was always on a heightened alert. So she could never relax. There would be people coming in and out of her room, and so she felt that she was always alert. So she was like that. I can't remember how old she's in her 30s, I think now. So she spent her whole life up to that point not sleeping because of some childhood stuff that had happened, which made her on full alert all the time. So we went back and we identified that, and we've got rid of it. And now she's sleeping like a baby, which is a funny thing to say, isn't it? Sleeping like a baby, because they don't always sleep, do they?
No, they do not.
But, sleeping nicely. So, yeah, so sleep is so important, because that's when our bodies are fixing ourselves, aren't they? And mending us and getting everything back.
Yeah.
And if we don't sleep,
sometimes when you are like overdrive in your brain, especially as a business owner as well, I have found that it's helpful to write things down that you're thinking about maybe too much, bullet point it. I always write it in my notes in my phone, and then I'm like, and then I've done it, it's out. And then it's think about it, and then you're not waking up in the middle of the night going, oh, I remember I've got to make sure that the basins are clean, or something stupid. You know what I mean?
And you sometimes dream things, and then when you think about them, they don't even mean anything. They're not even real. And you're like, what? Why is that keeping me awake?
Yeah,
You know, like maybe about an imaginary spreadsheet that doesn't even exist. I've done that many times, and I just get so frustrated. But yeah, I've learned to live on not a lot of sleep, but I do like my sleep when I can get it. And it is so important. So I think anyone out there actually who's watching this and they can't sleep, it could be a trigger from your past that could actually be eradicated so that you can sleep better. I've been through this process and I cleared up a few things, but I think it's more than menopause stuff and the hot flushes and things like that that stops me at the moment. But generally, yeah, it can be because of something from your past, which is really interesting, isn't it? I think
yeah,
because
definitely.
and I learn from my clients all the time because every time I do a session with someone, something new will come up and it'd be, oh my God, I didn't know that was a thing, or wow, that's worth remembering. And you know, there's so you learn, you're probably the same, aren't you, when you're talking to your clients, you find out things and you learn things. And although you're doing them a great service, they're actually, you're getting so much back from them as well,
Well,
aren't you?
definitely. I like literally, we always say it like we learn something new every day, and that's not even a joke.
Mm.
Like we literally like so, you know, we had a lady today, and you know, we were talking about holidays where we were going, and that's like a common thing for you know to chat about in a salon, isn't it? You know, where are you going on
Yeah,
holiday?
we're going on holidays.
And yeah, like you know, she was talking about the Lake District, and I was like, oh, I'd love to be able to go there. And then we were just talking about you know what it's like and what you do and how long it takes and all the rest of it. And you know, you find out information that you would really want to know without having to Google anything because your clients are telling you. So it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, get all the best locations.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. And do you know what's really important about that as well? Because it's about the connection. Now, as humans, we thrive on connections, don't we? It's like talking to people, and that goes right back, you know, to the cavemen, really. But if we don't have connection and we don't mix with people and we don't interact, that's when depression and that starts to take hold of us. There's a brilliant book actually called Lost Connections by Johan Yari, and he talks about that. He suffered from depression since he was a child, and he'd done a lot of research. He went out and travelled the world and spoke to you know professionals and geniuses in this field, and it was all actually around him about antidepressants and things like that. But what he learned was it's more about the connection, and we need to be around people, and that's why I think COVID was so awful for so many people because people lost that connection. You know, you would have noticed that. I mean, you would have been shut, wouldn't you, most of the time?
Yeah.
And did you miss it having that connection with people?
Yeah, the first lockdown was extremely hard, like really hard. Um, we didn't really know what was happening. We had to shut within like literally a day. It was a day. And then we literally were able to open. I think we were open for 3 weeks, and then they were like, "No, now you've got to shut down because we were notified of personal care." So that was like the next one. And that one was really hard, and I was pregnant with my son at the time, and yeah, that was really hard. So yeah, second time was probably the worst time. And then yeah, you know, you're on a high because you want to open back up. And a lot had changed. You know, you're on a high, and you're like, yeah, we really want to like get back in it and see all of our clients and everything else. But everything had completely changed because everyone had to do their own hair for 2 years, and they had to do their
Yeah,
yeah.
I bet some sights when they come back in though, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. But a lot of, you know, clients that wanted their hair done on a weekly basis beforehand didn't need to have their hair done on a weekly basis now because they had to get on with it and do it. Or clients that had their, you know, colour done, you know, that were grey had gone grey because they had no choice. So they didn't decide to go back grey. So it actually gave us a chance to look at what we wanted from a salon and what we wanted moving forward. And it
Interesting.
was actually really, really healthy for us to be able to see, like, you know, what the clients are that we really want and where we want to go, and how our, you know, higher or lower tickets were, and all of that type of stuff. So for us as a business, I was really able to take the time when we came back to really like focus in on like my business, to be able to figure out what I wanted to achieve from it, set new goals, and yeah, and obviously I had a newborn baby, so
So you got a COVID baby then, as they call them, don't they?
baby, I do.
Baby. So it's interesting because COVID obviously was horrific for many, many, many reasons, and obviously my heart goes out to anyone who lost anyone due to COVID, especially.
Yeah.
And obviously we're still feeling that knock on now with the recession, NHS waiting lists, etc., etc. So I get all that and totally take that on board. However, for me and for my husband, actually, that's the moment that we decided. Well, I got made redundant actually in lockdown, so that was like, oh great. But it gave me that opportunity, exactly as you just said, to reevaluate, because I'd been done with the corporate world for years anyway. But you get caught in that trap, that rat race, don't you, of earning the money and everything else, and then you don't really know what you're going to do. So I took that opportunity to start retraining and growing this business. But I did go back to work, and I had to financially, and I did juggling everything for 2 years. And then December I was able to take the leap of faith and go all in on my business, because I'd done a lot of the groundwork. So now I get to do what I love, which I don't want to say that I'd never been able to do that, because that makes it sound like 35 years was awful, but it wasn't. But especially the latter years, when I started getting in my menopause mode as well, where I just totally lost my confidence, lost who I was. And it's been so nice to find myself, and not only find myself, but find who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Not just even bring myself back to who I was, but to actually become the person I want to be. And I've been given a magical gift that I didn't really know I had, although when I look back, I suppose the signs were always there. But I feel like I have a magical gift now that I can actually transform people's lives. And I get to see them, and I get to see them, well, you all get to see them as well on the video testimonials, because I'm so lucky that they're so proud and pleased of how they've come along, that they're happy to share that with people. And when I watch those in particular, I'm always in tears, because it just melts my heart to see that.
Yeah.
And, you know, for you, it's a similar thing, isn't it? When you can leave that, especially the bridal stuff, that must be awesome, especially when you get to see them all dressed up and go, God, I did that.
Whole transformation. Yeah.
And that's where you feel it in your heart then, isn't it? And you know that you're doing something you love. Because you've got a gift, right? You and your staff, you've all got gifts. Because I couldn't throw a hairstyle together. So, you know.
No, we're definitely creative. 100% we're creative. And yeah, I do think, you know, right, that I think that's what I love about it, because you do get to see the complete transformation. And that's also why I love doing hair extensions, specifically for finer hair women. I think that's why I enjoy it so much. And it's really important to me, because I think you get to see a woman sat in your chair really feeling rubbish and feeling really unconfident, and you know, sometimes a lot of the languages I really feel ugly, or I don't feel good about myself, you know. And for you to then be able to transform that, and I've had women sit in my chair and cry, you know, look at themselves and go, oh my God, like just by having a few in can make such a difference. And you know, I feel like, oh my God, I was able to do that, like I was a part of that.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing,
you know, to feel that 100%. But unbelievable. I always cry.
Yeah, I cry a lot too. But do you know what? And I think that's quite a really important point, isn't it? That we can all change. We can absolutely be whoever we want to be.
Yeah.
And
as long as you allow yourself to be.
Yeah. And you have to invest in yourself, because we can all do our own work to help us feel better, can't we? Like, we can all do our meditation, we can all do our affirmations and all that kind of stuff, and we can go and get our hair done, our makeup, have a facial, and do all that beautiful self-care, which 100% definitely. But sometimes you do need help. Sometimes you do need someone that can help you do that, whether that is, you know, a therapist, a coach, or whether it's a coach in business, to take us to that next level. And we know that, because I wouldn't be in my business where I am now if I hadn't have taken that investment of investing in my how to build a business. But I also wouldn't have that if I hadn't invested in my self-development, because I wouldn't be feeling like I feel now. Because I lacked confidence. You know, did I mention I'm a #1 international bestseller co-author? Which is behind me, and an award winner. But yeah, no, in there it's all about confidence, and I would never have been doing this because I had that belief that I shouldn't be seen, and basically a belief that I wasn't good enough. In actual fact, I know I'm bloody good enough, and now you can't get me off this stuff now, because I think I really enjoy it. I'm not sure anyone else does, but I do. But it's, you know, it's all about my self-care. But it is so important, isn't it, that we do understand that we do not have to be stuck. And what we learn, as what I've been learning about myself as well, you know, we all hear about the law of attraction and all of that kind of stuff, but what energy you put out absolutely has an impact to us. So if you start putting out negative energy, I can't do this, I'm no good at that, I can't have what I want, well, guess what, you're not going to get it, because you're putting that out there, and they go, okay. But you start telling it, this is what you are, this is, you deserve this, you are worthy, you are more than enough, you can have what you want. It starts coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's all about the energies. It's all about what we want. If you want it badly enough, you can have it.
100%. And I think that's also the thing, like, if you, like you say, you know, if you invest in yourself, you know, a lot of people, they sit in the chair and they go, you know, oh yeah, I really want this and that, and I say, okay, like, you know, we can make this happen for you. And then the big thing is oh, okay, but how much does it cost? I always say, how much does confidence for you mean? How much does it mean to you? And it's bigger than just a price, isn't it? You know, someone to sit down and go, I really feel rubbish about myself, and you're going to put a figure on that. You can't put a figure on that. You can't put a figure on that. You know? So it doesn't matter how much it costs. If it's going to make you feel better, make you feel confident, and going to make you want to do the things that you want to do, then do it.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And I get that a lot. You know, we sit in the call and it'll be, oh my God, yeah, what would it give you if you was confident? Oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could grow my business, I could make more money, I could do this. How much is it? And they go, oh, well, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And it, well, what price is, what price can you put on your life? I had someone the other day, she went, well, I thought it was only going to be about 300. And I'm like, well, you know, we've just been through and realised that there's quite a lot going on for you, and I thought it was quite sad, really, that to not value yourself enough, to be able to do that. And yeah, I think that is quite sad.
I think for especially my business, it's a situation where you're literally sitting in the chair and you're having to look at yourself. You're the mirror's in front of you. And it does help, you know. And a lot of women, they sit down and they go, oh my God, I really have to like look at myself for the rest of the time I'm in here. But it is the case, you know, you are having to sit and you're looking at yourself and you're thinking, how can I make myself feel better? What can I do? You know, I had a bride in today, and she came in and she came in with her mum, and she had her manicure and pedicure done, and her mum came in and had her manicure and pedicure done. And she's actually coming in next week to have her bridal trial done. And she's coming in with her mum and 3 other bridesmaids. And while she was in there today, she said, you know, oh my gosh, your salon just feels great. Like, it just gives really good energy. And I was really thankful and said, thank you so much. I'm so pleased you feel that way. And it's the first time she's ever walked in the salon, like first time ever. And while she was there, she then booked 4 dates to have different treatments done. And I just think, like, if you the moment you give yourself time, she's a new mum, she's got a baby that's 9 months old, and you know, she said, you know, it's the first time I've had like actual time for me to be able to focus on what I want to be able to have, and how to feel nice for my own self. I thought, yeah, this is what it's all about.
It is. And think she would have been on a high from that for a long time
100%.
as well, wouldn't she? It wouldn't have ended as soon as she walked out that door. She would have gone home, and hopefully her husband or partner was like, oh my God, you look amazing. I might have gone straight down, but, you know, and then you're in that nicer place, you feel nicer, and even if it's only short-lived, at least it's nice to have that. And then what you should do, actually, one thing you could probably get them to do is like anchor that feeling. So when they're in your shop and they're looking at themselves and they're so full of happiness and emotion, say to them like, right, what I want you to do now is put your hand on your heart, and I want you to soak in that feeling. And every time you feel a bit down or sad, I want you just to put your hand on your heart and just remember that moment, what you felt like when you left the shop. And they will anchor that in them. It doesn't have to be in their heart, but it could be anywhere really. But it's you know, they could do this, they could do anything. So anytime they do that, they get that flood of that wonderful, or seeing all their wonderful faces, and then that's called anchoring. So you can do that, and you've always got that then. So that's a good little tip for them.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. So anyway, my lovely, we have been nearly 40 minutes. So before we wrap up, my lovely, what last bit of advice would you give to anyone out there who is maybe feeling a little bit down, and you want to give them some encouragement to, you know, what would you say to them?
I would say come and see me.
For me.
No, I think if it's someone that's really struggling and they're like, you know, and you're not sure where to go, or you're not sure what to do, or you're wanting to feel a little bit more uplifted, I definitely feel like self-care is everything. And I think, you know, if you can go and have a relaxation time, or like you say, go and do a yoga class or something like that, and that helps, fantastic. But if you feel like you need something a bit deeper, you know, like a coaching session, like with yourself, for example, you know, something that is going to really benefit your mind and yourself, then invest, because there's nothing more important than making yourself feel better and investing in yourself. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah,
that would be my
brilliant answer. I love that. And sometimes it's about, when people go, oh, I can't afford it, I can't do that, sometimes it's about reevaluating what you are spending money. Don't get me wrong, I do appreciate there's many people out there who genuinely can't, and I get that. But, you know, sometimes I go, well, you know, maybe if I could only have 3 holidays this year instead of 4, maybe I could invest in myself. You know, you've got to take a look at what you're doing. Are you spending £300 a month on cigarettes, or are you
100%.
going and buying your coffee, 4 cups of coffee a day or something? It's about reevaluating, isn't it? And just seeing what you're doing, what you're spending your money on. And a good way of doing that actually is digging out your credit card bill and just going through that and going, oh, really? Did I spend that amount? And then just think, well, actually,
how does that make you feel? You know, does it feel better or not? And if not, why not? Then look at something that can make you feel better.
Yeah. And if you're one of those people that goes out spending a lot of money on designer handbags and clothes and stuff, is it that instant gratification? But how long does that last?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, maybe hold back on a couple of bags, put that money aside, and find out where it's going on for you and fix it.
Yeah, 100%.
So thank you, my darling. Thank you for being a wonderful guest. Yes, a wonderful guest. And I will put this video out, and we'll put your details on there. and it'll also be put on my new YouTube channel. So anyone who wants to go and check out Millicide Therapy and Coaching YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. That's great. But that's where I keep all my Instagram interviews, all my client testimonials, and it's very new, so I'm just gradually building it up. So I'm very excited about that. But at least it's another way of finding me and seeing what I get up to. So thank you all.
Looking for you, or something that they would like to be able to chat with you about, where they can also contact you as well, can't they?
They can, darling. That would be amazing. Yeah, so Millicide Therapy and Coaching, Julie Millicide on here, but you know that already. Yeah, just find us. And the same with you, my lovely, isn't it? That all your details are going to be there. So if you need your hair done, makeup, bridal, hair extensions, she does it all, this woman.
We are, literally. We do everything under one roof. It's amazing.
So you are basically truly unstoppable, aren't you?
Yes, I'd like to think so.
So thank you very much, my lovely. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Bye.